Last call. Welcome in. Kelly Stewart here, Kelly in Vegas. We've got the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs. We've got a ton of baseball. We've got a UFC fight night tonight, and we have a loaded card for you guys. Gianni the Greek's going to be coming up with me. First, Teddy covers to talk some NBA and MLB. Carmine Bianco bat and clean up for us with the NHL playoffs. We're going to get right into it. Because, well, we got lots to talk about, and the beach is calling my name. So we're going to make this about a 40-minute show so I can meet up with my friends at a beach bar today, VR, because it's Saturday. It's 85 degrees. But we've got money that needs to be made first and foremost. I gave you two UFC fighters that I want to discuss here in a few minutes that came across my desk this morning. But I know you have a ton of sharp action you want to share with our audience first.
I do. And big day today. And you caught me at the opportune time because I'm running really, really hot right now in pretty much all sports. So here's what I got. I narrowed down a lot of gold for today's last call. So start off in the NHL. Here's what we're seeing. The most one-sided bet is Dallas. They're crossing Dallas over with other sports. So this is guys that are not even betting NHL playoffs, that aren't even watching NHL playoffs. They're circling Dallas as a lock today. Use that as you will. Sharp, under 6.5, Philly and Pittsburgh. The reason I'm sharing that, even though that 6.5 is gone, is because that's the kind of move. If you agree with it, I would still bet the under 6. Here's why. Worst that happens is a push if these guys cash. It's kind of like I did when I was a runner. Like if they come in at under 6 and I look up and it's 5.5, even if I lean under, I'm not going to take that. That's a bad number. But if they come in at under 6.5 and I look up and it's 6 and I like the under, I'm still going under because now they confirmed that the under's the sharp side. And more importantly, worst case scenario is they cash their ticket. Worst that can happen to me is a push. If they cash under 6.5, the absolute worst it could be is land on 6. Anything else, we both cash. So it's Dallas is the one-sided public play, under Philly, Pittsburgh, sharp, and the public's going over in that game. So you have a difference of opinion. Major League Baseball isolated the sharpest sides. 953, San Francisco, plus 105. 958, Philadelphia, minus 115. 966, Boston, plus 145, 969 Texas, plus 130, 971 Cincinnati, plus 120. A lot of dogs there. Quick totals for you. 960 under 11.5 Dodgers, Colorado. 961 under 8.5 Yankees, KC. 969 under 7. That's the Texas game at plus 05. And then Toronto, Arizona under 9.5. And if you go to WagerTalk.com, I have a lot of soccer that I released to subscribers as premiums that I also added there for free. There's games going off today, tomorrow, and Monday. I think I released 5 or 6 premiums in soccer. More than half of them are available for free at WagerTalk today, at WagerTalk.com. So make sure you go and check out the free page because I'm constantly putting free picks from the smaller markets. Now, NBA quickly. Immediate money came in sharp on Cleveland as soon as that 7 went up. That's why you're looking at 8 right now. Also over 219.5 and 220. Public's kind of betting Toronto in that game. They're taking the points. They're taking the 8. Sharps laid the 7. Minnesota, Denver. One-sided Denver money from the betting public. I did see some sharp money at minus 5.5, but keep in mind, I saw that throughout last year's playoffs, and I noted it, that the more public teams, especially when playing at home, especially in these game ones, the sharps are getting out ahead of the market, meaning by betting the favorite, you could then come back and work a middle or maneuver if you want, forgive me. Just that kind of busy day. So that's why I'm a little cautious to say like that's a legit move, because later in the day I wouldn't be surprised if it goes up to 7 if you saw Minnesota plus 7 get bet. Total, they bet the over 230.5 at opener. got to 232. That's where we saw some under money. Atlanta and New York, one-sided New York money from the public. Haven't seen anything sharp on the side or the total. And then in Houston Lakers, seeing the public on the Lakers. They're taking the Lakers here. And what else? Under. They're betting the Lakers and under. Haven't seen any sharp money there except the over when it got bet, but then saw a little bit of resistance. And again, this isn't surprising because when you get to the NBA playoffs, you're not going to get a lot of steam on sides and totals. You'll see a lot of, you'll see some, moves, but you'll get most of it in team totals, second halves, props, those more beatable numbers, because again, this late in the season, you expect that the lines to be tight. You don't expect a ton of line movement unless like there's a player out. You're not going to see 2-3 point line movements, which reflects an efficient market, and it should be efficient this late in the season. But because of the narratives coming in, because of the biases of the bettors, is where the books are forced to adjust and where we could come in and find that value like we did last night on both those sides, Orlando and Phoenix.
All right, VR, let's talk about a couple of these UFC plays that came across this morning. We all know that you are our UFC guy. You do a ton of stuff with them. Did you film a show for Fight Night?
No, not for, I did a podcast, my weekly podcast that I do for UFC. I covered this one, but I didn't do on the line, not doing one till the first week of May. I'm actually going to Newark for that numbered card event, UFC 328, I think. So I'll be doing that live actually from there. But this card
very nice
in Winnipeg's not bad. I know you have two plays you had.
I have two plays that here's my biggest beef with whether it's baseball, sometimes hockey, and especially the UFC. I am not a chalk eating weasel, so I love getting that plus money. There's just something about it. So when I'm laying minus 170 on a UFC fight, it does make my skin crawl. I'll just say that much, because it just seems like, okay, you're laying, 3,400 to win 2 dimes versus you're laying 2 dimes to win 3,400. It's just a different concept for me. So I wanted to kind of get into both of these plays with you, see if you even agreed, and then how you think that I should be betting them. Because I bet them straight, and then I did a parlay of 2 teams, and I want to know if that was the wrong answer. John Castaneda was the first play. We laid minus 155. Then Jamie Lynn Horth minus 170. Now, I know both of those have moved because, well, they got played by a sharp group. So I got down on those a little earlier. I didn't beat the great number, but I want to talk about both of those fights. And then, do you think it was the right play to play? So basically I did 1 unit on each fight separately, and then I did a half unit on the parlay. And I think I might have added too much to the parlay. If we're being frank,
we always do.
But I wanted to kind of see how you would bet if you had 2 UFC fighters or 3, when you start getting in these, $2 money line favorites. I know these are not quite that high. How would you recommend people bet these fights? Just on a regular week in and week out basis? Great
question. Because everyone does face that with MMA, with the chalk. And we know that the favorites coming into this week, Kelly, versus the closing line, have won almost 80% straight up. It's like 77%. And that's after dogs have done really well the last 2 weeks. So favorites were so way ahead. Are already 3 months into the year. So again, if you're betting dogs, you haven't made a lot of money when 8 out of 10 favorites are getting there. In this fight, Castaneda, I like Castaneda. It's definitely the sharp side. A lot more value when he was the dog, and you could actually got plus money earlier in the week. Now, I was confused that they brought out his opponent, Vologden, as the favorite, because this is a guy who was supposed to win his Contender Series fight, but lost. He got steamed on the Contender Series, I remember. He opened like 130, got bet up to almost 200, lost that fight. Now he comes in his debut, and they make him a favorite against Castaneda, who's got all this UFC experience. Sure, he's lost 2 straight fights, but it's against a lot better competition. So I was a little confused. That's why I didn't touch it. Then I started seeing sharp money come in on Castaneda, which made sense. and that line just got away from me. But I do like the Castaneda side. It's definitely Castaneda or pass. And Jamie Lynn Horth and Aldridge, I did see some sharps on the Aldridge side. This is just a case of a difference of opinion that between, plus EV bettors, where one liked Aldridge and one liked Horth. Personally, I do think the plus money on Aldridge is more attractive to me. It may look like a sucker bet. She's won 3 of her last 4 fights and now getting this kind of plus money. But I think it's closer to a coin flip. And when the judges are going to decide it, because it's so heavily favored to go to the decision, laying that kind of chalk, if I'm laying chalk, I'm always holding my breath because the judges are just so bad. Now, as far as parlays go, if you're making money betting MMA parlays and you have a big sample size, I can't argue it. And God bless you. Keep making money doing it. But I just know from experience that parlays are hard to beat. The books make a ton of profit from parlays. I bet them also, but I bet them very small in comparison to my straight bets, almost like a lottery ticket. And I don't even really tie in like 2-team parlays, 3-team parlays. Like I go for the big score. That's why I usually toss them away. 5, 6-team parlays. So that's the flip. Asking me that question and asking somebody else, you may get a different response. Me, I would say put as little on the parlay as possible and divide that money more into your straight bets. Even if it's an extra $10 on the straight bet, it's better than throwing it on the parlay. But I do understand that most bettors aren't bankrolled to where they can bet all these straight. So they're forced to almost tie in these parlays. So I understand that, but I'm just need to get the fact out there that it's not like if one fight wins, it's not relative to another fight. So like tying them up, there's no correlation. You're kind of doing it to create value out of thin air, but I don't know if we're really doing it if we're parlaying. So that's the thing. I can't promote parlays for some reason.
No, listen, I get it. I get it, VR, and I very rarely parlay except for my college football.
And I have parlays still. I have 2 live open parlays still. That's what I like to do. I like to put in parlays with open legs, so then I could fill them in with like my strongest plays.
I guess what I'm getting at is I kind of want to play Joe Public here and get these questions answered for people, because you just said something that I had to interject. There's no correlation in these 2 fighters, right? They are independent of one another. They could go 1-1, they could go 0-2, they could go 2-0. But the result of one fight is not correlated to the result of another. So that is what the implied odds, you're not getting the value in trying to make them correlated, I think is what you're trying to say. Yes. So from my understanding, it is better for me to lay both of these independently for 2 units to win, 1 unit or whatever, basically, than to put them together and hope that I'm a product of good luck.
Yes, because in that case, because they're not going off at the same time, you could just roll over your bet anyway, because that's what you're doing in the parlay. You know what I mean?
Yes, so very, very good point.
You bet the first fight. If that wins, now you have the choice. Do I roll it over and let it all ride on the second fight? Because that's what I'd be doing in the parlay. Or now, do I want to take some of that profit and straight bet it? That's what I recommend the bettors, because with the fights, it's one after the other after the other. If you're that confident, just hand in the ticket and let it ride. Granted, you're not betting it maybe at the opportune time where you're getting the best number, but you're betting it at the same property anyway. So it's not like you're line shopping anyway. So why not do it that way? And you're not at least betting it all at once with the parlay. You have decisions to make throughout the night. Do I want to let that whole thing ride? That's how I recommend it with guys betting the fights. Like, why put in the parlay at the beginning? Just bet the first leg of the parlay, then keep rolling it over.
Perfect. And we got our answer on how we should be betting the UFC, boys and girls.
Yep.
Gianni the Greek, what do you got going on over at WagerTalk.com?
All right, I'm going to put, I have a Steam room going today for subscribers only. Those are the guys, my loyal long-term that partnered for me for the year. That's why I don't have a Steam sheet up today, because I'm working too hard for those guys. The ones that jump in and out when I'm running hot, this and that, I don't owe them loyalty. My loyalty is to my subscribers. the guys that are partnering with me for 2026. That's why there's no daily package up for me today. But there's a 4% that they already got in this early NBA game. There's baseball they already got. And I will put the package together because I'm this close to firing a 5% in the NBA. We may not get there. But like I said, I'm focusing on my subscribers. So if you want to jump on board for a week, a month, a year. I know they sell daily passes as well. Do that because you'll get all different markets. But right now, strictly uploading plays, and the UFC package is the only one that's up. Like I said, once I get some NBA together more than the early game, I'll put something out for the daily guys. But I'm running really, really hot right now, and I want to reward my subscribers above all else instead of making money selling. You know, I want to sell. Don't get me wrong.
You just gave out your Steam sheet, right? I mean, in a way, you gave.
That's exactly what they got. That's exactly that's why I love Last Call. And that's why I wasn't forced to put it out, because I'm like, I'm going to give it out right here. This is exactly what would have been on it, straight off of it, every single play. All
right. So if you guys missed that, scroll back till about 3 minutes ago. Rewind. VR, thank you so much. Appreciate you. You guys can catch him on WagerTalk today, all next week here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. We're going to bring in Teddy Covers next. We're going to talk some NBA, maybe a little bit of MLB. If you guys are looking for in-depth MLB, you got to go back. Total Bases was an hour ago, and those guys, boy, oh boy, you want to talk some baseball, they will talk some baseball. Teddy Covers, welcome in. You and I are going to talk some NBA, though. This is my favorite time of the year. Sorry, go ahead.
So I got to ask, you're going to the bar this afternoon. Is there any chance, because for me, this weekend, I do the same thing every year. I sit down, I watch 4 playoff games Saturday, I watch 4 playoff games Sunday. That's my weekend. Will the NBA even be on your radar when you're at the bar? Will you be in the background where you're watching these games?
It'll be on the background. I mean, listen, this place has kind of got like that sports beach bar vibey type of thing. You go get lunch, get a margarita, get a little bit of tan. But yeah, the TVs will be on in the background. I mean, I'm not going to be sweating any of this stuff, but I'm going to have a little action on this beautiful Saturday. So yeah, and maybe before the margaritas, I might go rent a jet ski if I'm feeling frisky. We'll see. We'll see how it ends up playing out here in about an hour from now. Teddy, I want to kind of get into it. We got a nice NBA slate today. I got the odds logic screen open so you guys can all follow along right there. oddslogic.com/Kelly in Vegas. If you guys are looking for a free week, you can also use the free WagerTalk odds screen. Teddy, do you want to go in rotation order? I know you said earlier before we logged on, you have one play up for clients today, and that's the only game we're not gonna touch on.
We can talk about it, Kel. It's fine. I don't want to talk about the particular play that I had, but we can talk about it. And so the beauty is the rotation order is the same order that the games are going off in. So however it looks on the live odds screen, the Odds Logic live odds screen is the way to go through it.
I love it. If you guys have a question regarding the NBA or a couple baseball games, Teddy can answer those for you. Otherwise, we're just going to go right down the list. VR had mentioned that everybody was on the Raptors. That game is up first here in about a little less than 2 hours, Teddy. Cleveland, though, reverse line movement, sharp action, whatever you want to call it, is now popping up at 8s pretty much all the way across the board, even though everybody supposedly loves the Raptors.
Yeah, so I respect Gianni and what he does. I don't always agree with his assessment of how he breaks down line moves and who's on what. And this is a game where clearly the sharp money came on Cleveland at the open. And there is certainly some public support for Toronto. But is this a game where every public bettor is lined up on the Raptors and the reverse line movement saying you got to take? No. And if you're worried about that kind of stuff, the reverse line movement stuff, again, in my mind, there are much better ways that you can handle your handicapping capacity than worried about, the line moved a half point this way, but the wise guys bet at that. It's like, figure out the matchups, figure out the history, figure out the nuances, and that'll give you a lot more chance to win than worrying about reverse line movement. That being said, of the 16 NBA playoff teams, one of the 16 stands out as being priced differently now than they've been priced for the last 6 months. And that team's the Cleveland Cavaliers. If you're putting just your base powering number for Cleveland at the end of the season and your base powering number for Toronto at the end of the season, you ain't coming up with 8.5 because that's not the way Cleveland was playing. But the betting markets are saying the Cavs have a switch. We can expect it to be flipped. And it's very, very clear for this one. We've also seen, normally, we see nothing but under money for game ones. The markets.
Teddy, was that you?
Season?
Sorry to interrupt. Was that you that had a video on Instagram about that? I think I saw that on the WagerTalk Instagram. You talked about first round unders.
Sure.
Can you elaborate for our audience on that?
Sure. So the concept is that for when you have the regular season, you have all of these crazy high scoring games. The last month of the regular season, nobody plays any defense. The last 2 weeks of the regular season, they play even less defense. So you get these totals that tend to be really high when you're looking at the standard methodology of creating NBA totals, which factors very heavily. Last 5, last 10, current pace, et cetera, et cetera. When the postseason starts, all of a sudden the defense is there and it's there at a high level. So we often see these game ones of round one stay under the total and oftentimes stay under the total by margin. And I really don't look to bet overs in game ones because of that. That said, this year, as much as any year that I've ever seen, the markets have really adjusted these game one totals down from what we've seen in recent weeks and in recent months. And we haven't seen any under money come in. Not a single game have we seen significant, maybe some Philly Boston, but really that's it. Everything else from the openers is either neutral or has been bet up, which tells us this year the odds makers did a better job at adjusting their numbers than they have in seasons past. One other thing I talked about in that video, Kel, and it has no relationship to game ones, but it does conceptually something that people may be interested in, is that when you talk about as a series progresses, by game, in particular, game 5, game 6, and game 7, everybody knows what everybody wants to do. However the series is played, we expect it to slow down. And again, when I'm playing games 5s, game 6s, game 7s, not like I never play overs, but the prevailing trend is look to unders the longer a series goes. And that's, you got to have a good reason to play an over in a game 5, game 6, or game 7, as opposed to, all right, there's obviously nothing in play today, but game ones and then late in the series, we look for unders.
All right. We will have those circled, something to keep in your back pocket. Maybe talk you off and over, maybe talk you into an under. Minnesota is in Denver. They are a 7
Yeah,
up to 7
exactly.
point underdog. Excuse me. That was the opener there on the odds logic screen. 6.5s if you like the Nuggets, still available, but most of them are juiced outside of it. Looks like Hard Rock or some prominent non-US books. We'll leave it at that. 233 is the high total there at Circa, Teddy. You just mentioned those unders, but no one wants to take this one under.
Not yet, anyway. Although it's a play, but the over money's coming because Anthony Edwards is expected to play. And Denver, for the price range that they're in. And by the way, let me be very clear. You talk about the odds logic live odds screen. The beauty of this screen is that you don't have to shop around and open 15 different apps. I'm assuming that if you're betting sports seriously, you're taking the time to watch a show like this, that you have every single sports book that's legal in your state and money in those accounts. I'm assuming that you guys are sharp enough to do that. But when you look at the odds logic live odds screen, boom, it's 5 here, it's 5.5 there, it's 6.5 here, it's 7 there. You can open the right book, boom, right away, bang, your bet's in. It's a legitimate edge. And of course, if you're playing a game like this, if you're taking Denver, you better lay 6.5. If you're taking Minnesota, you better take 7. Both lines are widely available. That's how you can make money without handicapping games correctly. The odds logic live odds screen will help with that. Denver is certainly a team that's gotten a lot of support in the betting markets. There's love for Denver. And Denver, when you think about where this roster is, they're deep. They have championship experience. There's a lot of thought that if someone's going to come out of the West other than OKC or San Antonio, Denver's the clear third choice. Minnesota, who's been in the finals, the Western Conference finals each of the last 2 years, they've been banged up. the market's not as excited about the T-Wolves this year as they've been in seasons past. Edwards expected to play today, as is McDaniels, and I believe Naz Reid as well, all of whom have been banged up. Nonetheless, we've seen a lot of money for Denver in a game that I think might be highly competitive. I'm not impressed with Denver on the defensive end of the court, and certainly this highest total of the game one of the first round tells us that you shouldn't be too impressed with Denver defensively either.
All right, guys, if you have a question for Teddy for the NBA slate, drop it here in the chat. A little over 1,200 of you guys hanging out with us here on a Saturday morning to start the NBA playoffs. Let's just keep going down the list here, Teddy, real quickly. We've got Atlanta, New York. This was another one. No, this is not one that VR had mentioned on his list. Give me a quick breakdown because I kind of want to get through as many of these NBA games as possible before we get to Carmine Bianco here in about 5 minutes.
Sure. Well, I mean, we've got 4 games for today and 4 games. We can do quick hitters on the tomorrows if you want. Although I haven't due diligence. I haven't done. I'm not fully ready to go, but I can certainly give you quick hitters on what my thought process is. But for the Hawks and the Knicks, the line came shorter than some people thought it was going to. It's right around my powering number. I think my powering number had the game of 5.5, and that's where it's hanging. There are some 6s out there for New York. Certainly the Knicks are the team with the playoff experience. The Knicks are the team that didn't reach the finals last year and then fired their coach because of it. That has, the urgency to win is now. The Knicks are the veteran team. The Knicks are the squad, with probably the superior depth. What does Atlanta have? They're young and hungry, and they played great basketball over the back end of the season. Of course, this is the Hawks team that underachieved early. It was pretty clear before Christmas that Atlanta was better without Trae Young than with him. They made the Trae Young deal, and that transformed their season. McCollum and Kispert both have been impact players for the Wizards. For the Hawks since arriving from the Wizards. And Atlanta has been pretty feisty in playoff series. They got a good history at Madison Square Garden in the postseason against the Knicks. I would not be surprised at all if this game is a battle. And I'm certainly not looking to play over in this one either. And with the Hawks' defensive acumen. That being said, the Knicks are the class here. And in game ones, I have no hesitation laying points with superior teams. So this is one I bounced back and forth with, Kel, and ended up deciding not to play it.
Yeah, and that's fair. And that's kind of what happens when there's only 4 games on the slate for today. Teddy, here's an interesting handicapping question. Can we talk about NBA series betting, maybe some teams to advance? Teddy, thoughts on, instead of betting these games game by game, betting a team for the series? Any value, any teams you like there?
So this is this of all the concepts you're going to hear on this show, this is as important as any. Let's not overstate it, but this is key. When you're betting on a team in the series, this is what you're actually doing. You're betting on the team in their next game. That's all you're doing. All right. If you're betting on Cleveland to win the series right now, you're betting Cleveland at minus 500, minus 520. If the Cavs win the game, they'll be much higher than that number tomorrow. If the Cavs lose the game, they'll be much lower than that number. You make the same bet at a different number the next day. So what you're betting, or that evening or whenever. So what you're actually betting on when you're betting on a team to win the series, you're betting on them in that very next game. So the only time I'm making a series bet is if I know that I like that team in the next game coming up. If not, I wait and make the bet later. Gianni said something that was really important in his segment. It really was. When you talk about concepts of parlays and what to do. And hey, he's like, you don't have to fricking make a parlay. You can make a parlay in your head, win the first fight, and then decide, am I going to risk it all? Am I going to risk some? Am I going to pull some back? It's the same story with the NBA playoffs. You can create your own positive expectation situations if you can correctly time, hey, this team's going to win this game, therefore I can back them here before they win this game on the series price. Your optimal scenario is to have both teams at plus prices, and you don't care who wins game 7, And if you do it right in the postseason, it can be multiple times you'll find that opportunity. That's the beauty of April and May and June basketball.
There's only been one time that hasn't worked, and that was when John Murray said we were going to do it with UConn the year they just obliterated.
They crushed everybody. Yeah. And that literally that hadn't happened in 20 years. Yeah.
Oh, it was perfect. I couldn't have scripted it any better, just to be, my smug self on the show, to be like, oh, really, John Murray? Knowing that is still the way to do it, no matter how you look at it. All right, let's touch on the late NBA game to finish up with you, Teddy. Houston is headed to the Lakers. They are 4.5-point road favorites, some fives. But I think it's interesting that there's a couple off-market 4.5s at some of what I would call the square books. Any thoughts on this side?
So, yeah, I'm going to play for the total in this game. And obviously, you can get my best bet for LA Houston over or under on my homepage, wt.buzz/TC. Best, don't buy a play, guys. If you want to get on board with anything, get on board with the package. We got to buy 3 days, get 3 free. If you want a little short-term, $69 every play every day. Best value is with we got the great summer deal right now. Every play, every day, every sport through August 31st. That gets you into preseason football, gets you into college football all summer long. It's $7.49. So every play, every day, short term, long term. Don't get on board with the play. Get on board with a package. That is my advice. That being said, Rockets and Lakers, like I said, I'm involved with the total. We have seen over money in that ball game this morning, and then following the over money, we've seen under money come back in on that one. From a side standpoint, at a couple of recreational books, we are seeing 4.5s, mostly 5s out there for Houston. The Rockets' full season stats, kind of like Cleveland. When I talk about teams that you look at the powering numbers and you go, yeah, but Houston's regular season stats are not as where Houston's going to be priced in the postseason. They're going to be priced higher. And they did, the Rockets. I remember when it happened. They were on a road trip. They got blown out they lost to Chicago in the first game, and they got blown out in the second game, and they had a team meeting. And since that team meeting, Houston's been bet on in every way. I wonder how when you talk about how the Lakers can attack this defense, how the Lakers can win on the glass in this ballgame. LA has some matchup problems that JJ Redick's. If he can win, if he can make this series competitive, we give Redick credit because there's some clear matchup issues. And again, the most important factor in the NBA playoffs, health. Nothing else matters more than health. The Lakers are without their 2 best players. Sorry, LeBron, but Lakers are without their 2 best players, and that is likely to be problematic in this series.
Teddy, are you saying that LeBron is not one of the best Lakers players?
He's the 3rd best Laker player.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's going to get the comment section going. Teddy covers at Teddy_covers. Teddy, any other Wager Talk shows you're going to be doing headed in to early next week? You Wager Talk today?
So I usually do Wager Talk today on Fridays. I've been doing NBA free play videos. I was doing Teddy's tips throughout the regular season. And when it comes to the postseason, I'm like, it's hard to do a show with 1 or 2 games and, every day and not give away the play, So I'm just doing free play videos, which Perfect. Everyone seems to like. I've got posted on my homepage right now. We got one. I did one already for Portland, San Antonio for tomorrow. So every single day, or just about every day, check out my page at Wager Talk, or just check out the Wager Talk free picks page every day. Not a bad place to look, and obviously plenty of content on a daily basis, video and written at WagerTalk.com.
All right, WT.buzz/TC is Teddy's homepage. You guys can find him there. All right, we've got 3 NHL games we're going to go through with Carmine Bianco, my favorite Canadian. Welcome in. I got to get Teddy out of here. This is why I'm not supposed to be a producer, but I'm trying to save the company some money during the slow season. I mean, there's only 1,500 of you guys watching me make mistakes and having only one ring light working this morning. It's been fun, Carmine, being my own producer. I'm learning so much. I'm ready for that margarita at the beach bar, but we've got 3 hockey games today. We got 4 hockey games tomorrow. I know you guys just did a huge hockey show for the playoffs. Puck Time. You, Andrew McGinnis, and Terry Edelman. Tell me about that real quick.
Yeah, that was a great one. Over an hour long show. We broke down every series who we thought would win the series. Some different ways of playing the series. Ones that have bigger prices with bigger favorites. There are other options on how to play. You can actually take games handicaps in them as well too, which we can mention if anyone is interested in the chat. And then we came up with who our picks were to make the Stanley Cup. So I'm sure I'm going to piss off more than a few people, but wait till you see the video I have posted or coming soon. That's really gonna rage bait everyone. And I'm done with margaritas. I just got back from Turks and Caicos, 7 days. Load management. It's more. It's more Stacy. Yeah, she's a lightweight, and getting her, back to the room pretty much every single day from the beach was a handful.
Well, it happens. Listen, the sun, the sand, the sea, and the tequila will get you on vacation. Let's go real quickly here. I just want to go in order of start time. Go to the odds logic screen, and we can go right through these 3 NHL games today. Carmine, I want to talk about the Ottawa Senators because the puck drops there first, 3 p.m. Eastern in Carolina. Carolina was over $1.50 favorite when they opened, but it looks like we've seen a little bit of Ottawa money start to come in. Totals also ticked up from 5.5, seeing lots of 6s and even a 6.5 there at DraftKings.
Yeah, Kel, I think, the conventional thinking was Carolina, won the Eastern Conference. And what happens? You get rewarded with playing quite possibly one of the toughest teams amongst the other 7. Ottawa's got a good team, some balanced scoring, physical team, and very good goaling with Linus Ullmark. So everyone seems to think Ottawa is likely the live dog as far as the series. And a lot of people want to take the dog in game 1. They want to take the road team in game 1. And I'm just going to give you some quick numbers on why that has gotten a little worse betting against home teams in the opening game of the NHL playoffs. 3 years ago, 8 games, 5 of the 8 home teams lost game 1. 2 years ago, it was only 2 of the 8 teams, and last year only 1 team lost game 1. It's becoming a little more. I think it's becoming slanted and a little more towards the home side. And just the way these playoff matchups go, it's one where I think you have to like the Canes here. As good as Ottawa has been to get into the playoffs late, Carolina has been consistent all year long. I like their goaltending. I know there's some people who don't like it. I like Boosie. I like Freddie Anderson. And the one knock against the Canes in years past or the last few years under Rod Brindamore is, can he get this team over the hump? They made some changes. They picked up some players during the offseason. One of them, Nikolai Ehlers, 10 power play goals, 26 goals. He's going to help them in the playoffs when that scoring dries up. And if Ottawa tries to make this a physical game today and draw some penalties, the Canes are going to make them pay for it in the power play. So this is one where I don't expect a lot of goals scored. So the special teams is going to be big in this series, penalty killing and power plays.
Ooh, does that mean you like the under, Carmine?
Yeah, you know what? I think as a whole, game 1s sometimes, I think these teams know each other. They've seen each other. Game 1s, sometimes you see them a little loose. And then as the series progresses, it just kind of becomes a defensive battle. Case in point, just to quickly mention, like Vegas last year against Minnesota, opening round. The games were, if I remember correctly, the first 3 games, all high-scoring games. Vegas lost 2 of the 3 games, 7 goals, and 8 goals, I believe, in that series. And Minnesota was a very good defensive team. But then Vegas ran off 3 straight wins where all the games had 5 or fewer goals. And that's why in the playoffs we tend to see 5s out there, and they're shaded. The 5s are juiced a little bit to the over. The 5.5s are going to be juiced to the under, of course. And I think defense at this time of the year, especially with the playoffs coming, is sort of the biggest thing. People don't love betting unders. Nobody wants to turn.
Okay, here's what I was just getting ready to chime in. I am not afraid to bet an under, Carmine. We all know that. Like, as a contrarian, I'm not. But what does just kind of like pain me, like, oh God, like, is that possibility when you have a significantly better team, right? I would say that Carolina, from the minimal hockey viewing that I've watched, right? When you've got a $1.50, $2 favorite, you've got a team that's significantly better than their opponent, is the possibility of pulling the goalie empty netter, right? So let's just say it's 4-1 Ottawa. We're on cruise control. There's 90 seconds left. I'm not saying that, down 3, they're going to pull their goalie, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah, stranger. Listen, I have a group of friends in a chat that only bet NHL empty net goals. Cal, they have the pull times for every single coach and when they're going to pull a goalie if they're down 2 goals, 3 goals. And John Cooper's famous for it. He will pull a goalie with about 6 minutes left. So the books don't. So the books will not take down a line with 6 minutes left. They will take down a line with about 2 minutes left, knowing a goal is going to be pulled. So these guys now start playing the total and betting the over. They start betting the money line as well. The puck line as well too. And it's a calculated risk, but they have the pull sheets on every single coach in the NHL, and it's phenomenal to see it in this Discord channel as well too that they have. That's private, and I can't give it out. So
damn it, Carmine! You can't just.
Well, I can give it to you. I can't give it to the general public, is what I'm saying.
As long as you can give it to me, then if I give it to somebody else, then I'm the one in trouble. Fair enough. Yeah. Everybody in the chat wants to talk about the Dallas Stars and the Minnesota Wild, and that is the second game for today. Starts at 5:30 Eastern. Minnesota's taking some money here. Dallas opened up -123 on the odds logic screen, seeing as low as -114 at a non-United States book. The lowest money line for Dallas is at the Superbook, actually. Total's 5.5 here. Seems like the Wild's getting some love in the marketplace. Do you agree with the line move?
I do. I think the Wild started, that series against Vegas last year. They had a good series. They are a good team. This is a series that could easily go 6 or 7 games, and there are books that will put up a line of, will this go 6 or 7 games? And if you're getting like plus 200, plus 250, you can take one of those. You can take both of them, and you're essentially playing a plus 150-ish line or plus 125 line that goes 6 or 7 games. This series is going to be a long one. There's an option of taking Minnesota plus 1.5 games, although it's a little, I call it Viggy at -185 right now. The Stars to win this game in 6 games or less is plus 150. So you're laying a game and a half plus 150. But I think the big surprise is Minnesota with their goaltending. Game 1 is going to be Wallstead. He is confirmed. We know it's always going to be Jake Ottinger for the Dallas Stars. And like Andrew had mentioned on yesterday's show, Ottinger was part of the USA team and never featured in a single game in the Olympics because Hellebuck just played lights out for the Winnipeg goalie, played lights out for Team USA and led them to a gold medal. So it's Ottinger's time to shine now as well too. But this Minnesota team picking up Hughes as well too makes them a little more dangerous. This is one of those ones where I think Minnesota can win this series. Dallas is a very good team, but I don't think home ice is as important in this series, Kel, as it is in other series. I think Minnesota can easily go into Dallas and win 1 of 2 games. And I did say on yesterday's show, I'm not going to be in action on this game, but I'm hoping that Dallas wins today so I can bet Minnesota tomorrow. Or the next game.
That's
game
always
2.
fun. Cheering for a team to lose so that you can set yourself up for a better position in the next game. Carmine, really quickly before we get into Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, what do you got going on over at WagerTalk.com?
Yeah, so 3 plays in the NHL. 2 of them today. I have a 5% play up in the NHL for tomorrow. 3-0 starts with 5% plays in April. So this will probably be the last one. Soccer which is running fantastic. Number 1 at WagerTalk in soccer, and just in time for the World Cup. So I'm up about 50 units on the year in soccer, and I have a huge publication that will be out in about 2 to 3 weeks time, a betting guide, 30 pages on how to bet the World Cup. It is a little different this year with a different format. The Italians aren't in, but I'm still going to enjoy it nonetheless, Kel. So I am definitely looking forward to it. A great deal from the office, Puck Time 50. Puck Time 50 gets you $50 off all the NHL playoffs. It's normally $175. You can drop that to $125 by using that coupon, Puck Time 50.
And you guys have, as you mentioned, a hour-long video on all things NHL playoffs. So if you guys are looking for a deeper dive than just today's game, head over to the WagerTalk YouTube channel and check that out. Talk to me about the Flyers versus the Penguins, Carmine.
Yeah, this one, the Battle of Pennsylvania. These teams have not met in the playoffs since 2018. It is always a good one because these teams just absolutely hate each other. It is kind of like the Toronto-Ottawa, Toronto-Montreal rivalry series. These teams do not like each other. So it could get a little physical. The Flyers were playing extremely well towards the end of the season. Dan Vladar is playing absolutely fantastic in goal. Kelly, the mystery in this one is going to be Stuart Skinner for the Pittsburgh Penguins, their starting goalie of the Edmonton Oilers the last few years. Do we get the playoff Skinner who doesn't do very well, or do we get the regular season Skinner who does well? It's sometimes that form during the regular season does not carry over into good form in the playoffs. And Skinner, unfortunately, takes the brunt of it, even though the defense for the Edmonton Oilers hasn't been the greatest. I'll give Kyle Dubas, former GM of Toronto, credit. He came over with a team that was pretty much maxed out as far as salary cap goes, and built a pretty good, solid 6 defensive corps there. So that can only help the goalie in this instant. I think Philly's a live dog to win this series at plus 140, but I would likely take this series to go 7 games. I think this one goes 7 games. You get a fresh Sidney Crosby, Geno Malkin, Chris Letang, and of course Brian Rust, all guys who are rested or load management the last 2 or 3 games of the NHL season when Pittsburgh was locked into their spot. Smart play by Dan Muse, who did a fantastic job in season 1 as coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he's one of the nominees, I think, for coach of the year, although I think it belongs to Lindy Ruff of the Buffalo Sabres.
All right, Carmine Bianco, tell me what you got going on this week over at WagerTalk from a video standpoint. You guys are going to do a puck time every single day. Are you on WagerTalk today? What else is going on?
Yeah, we're going to do a puck time every single day, and then as we get in, we'll have one regular guest all week during the opening round of the NHL playoffs. When we get to round 2, it'll just be Andrew McInnes and I, and we will break down a couple of games, but we will also give you betting advice on updated series prices and if there's any value that can be found in the series when they're into game 3 and game 4. There's money to be made in those in the opening round. And we'll talk a little bit of who I think is going to win the Stanley Cup, Kel.
Ooh, love that. You can text me on the side. Carmine Bianco, yes. Make sure you guys check him out over on WagerTalk.com. Thank you to you. Thank you to Teddy Covers. Thank you to Gianni the Greek. And thank you to all of you. Almost 1,750 of you guys watch live with us on this beautiful Saturday morning. I am off to the races. That's right. That means I'm going to go get some margaritas and work on a tan because I have been inside all winter long.